So in this video, I want to just go through a few numbers with you that really stand out for me. And I think a lot of people don't really understand yet what the growth potential is of Bitcoin. So the first thing I want to do is just have a quick look at this chart here that was recently put out by ARK Invest. And what it shows is the actual compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of Bitcoin for the past 7 years. And what we notice is that at 59%, essentially there's only daylight second in terms of the performance of other assets globally. So everything from gold, commodities, real estate, bonds, equities, collectively they represent a compound annual growth rate over the same period of time, the past 7 years, of only about 7%. And so what we're looking at here is, something like 8 to 9 times the performance of most other asset classes. That's what Bitcoin is representing. Now, nobody's here to say that that's definitely going to be the future. We know that the past doesn't always equal the future, but quite often when it comes to markets, it certainly does rhyme. So I want you to just keep that in mind, that 59% annual compound growth rate is kind of unheard of when it comes to financial markets. And this is why even really smart people who have been in the legacy system for many, many years are starting to gradually wake up and realize that if you've got an opportunity to park your capital in an asset that's doing, anywhere from 7 to 12% annualized return, but you've got the option to put it into something that's doing 50 to 60% return, which one would you choose? And it takes time for people who have been locked in the stock market or in the real estate market for decades to start to really realize that this new monetary technology is kind of leaving that legacy system for dead. But it's happening. It's happening and it's happening gradually, and then it'll be happening suddenly, as often is the case with these things. So there's one other chart I want to show you here. Actually, before I do that, so 59%. So what does that look like if we were to invest $1,000 today at 59% compound annual growth rate? That would be $10,000 in 5 years. Okay, so if we were to use the historical CAGR, compound annual growth rate of 59%, and project that out over the next 5 years, what we'd find is that we'd essentially 10x our money. So 100,000 would become a million, 10,000 would become 100,000, and 1,000 would become 10,000. So the question becomes, when we're thinking of Bitcoin as a savings technology, we have to understand that in our bank account, there's no way we're going to get anything near those kind of returns. So Bitcoin is the ultimate savings technology, in my opinion. It's a way for people who have a 4 to 5 to 10 year time horizon or beyond to park and store their economic energy, their long-term savings, their economic value, to not only protect and preserve its purchasing power, but as you can see here, it actually grows your purchasing power over time. And so, that's why Bitcoin really does represent the ultimate savings technology, because it gives us the opportunity to really supercharge our purchasing power into the future. And this is one of the reasons why I recommend to young people, particularly, my kids, for example. I've got 3 daughters in their 20s, and, I'm recommending to them, and they're doing it, save a little bit of their salary, their wages each week, each fortnight, park it into Bitcoin, which is going to really set them up in a different way to if they were going to be just parking it into a savings account. So something to keep in mind. There's one final thing I want to share with you here before I move on and leave you today. And that is this: the rate of adoption. And, You may have heard of Metcalfe's law, and essentially that stipulates that the value of a network is commensurate or relative to the rate of adoption. And basically what this shows is that the rate of internet adoption, we could see how from 2010, how we have that nice curve, and then things start to balance out as time goes on. And Bitcoin is essentially following the same trajectory. And if Bitcoin is to continue following the rate of internet adoption, then at the current rate, we will see Bitcoin sitting at around about $1 million US by the year 2030. So it kind of, I guess, verifies or coincides with those figures I showed you just a little earlier, where essentially we have the opportunity to 10x our money. Most of the charts and the predictors tend to tell us within the next 5 years. And so just keep that in mind. I just wanted to share that with you. We've got a whole bunch of other stuff I want to share on this channel. I'm going to start doing more of these videos where I'm sharing little mini presentations, a whole lot of slides that I've put together, just tracking Bitcoin, how it can make your financial future brighter, how it's the ultimate savings technology, and how I believe it is the ultimate store of value because it is absolutely fixed, finite, scarce. And when you have a fixed, finite, and scarce monetary instrument, it is always going to go up in value over to the right over time because it is absorbing the value out of the infinite instrument, i.e. the dollar, which we know they can just print into infinity with no checks and balances. It's no longer backed by anything. And so the finite asset is absorbing energy from the infinite asset. And this is essentially what we're seeing with Bitcoin. And the reason why Bitcoin is also outperforming real estate in a significant fashion is because Bitcoin is even more scarce than real estate. And so this is the trajectory we're on. This is why Bitcoin is transformational in terms of a monetary technology. Fortunately for all of us, we're very new to this in terms of rate of adoption. Most of the world still hasn't woken up to this yet, but I believe that that's all about to change with things that are happening in Washington, Wall Street, things that are happening around the world as people start to realize that their currency is going down. And so it's really important to be thinking of ways to protect and preserve and to elevate your purchasing power into the future. I'm going to leave it there today, but I hope you got some value from today's short video. Please give me a like. If you got some value today, by all means, leave me a comment. I'd love to hear your feedback, and I'd love it if you'd take a moment to consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll keep showing up and sharing with you this really important content. All right, so thanks for joining me. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next